Cool. Awesome, Maria. Thank you so much, obviously, for jumping on and joining me. And we're just talking about your progress, especially over the last 6 months. But you've been in business for obviously quite a while, and it's just awesome to see your progress, and especially after some up years, down years, and it's good to see you get some obviously some consistency over the last few months with your year-on-year growth, as you mentioned. But before we kind of jump into what was working well for you and your experience and that sort of thing, I'd love to just kind of get a bit of an introduction to yourself and what your business does, and potentially where things were before, we first met.
Okay, no worries. So my business obviously is Funky Gifts NZ, and we sell an array of products, close to 3,000 different gifts and homeware products, catering for people in New Zealand, but also lots of internationals that have family in New Zealand. Our key focus is good service, so we do wrapping, write-in cards, and do some of our own products as well. So like we do our own greeting cards. And our business has evolved massively over the last 10 years or so. But we're now operating predominantly online. And joining the program earlier this year, we were just before we joined the program, we decided to sort of relaunch the site on a new theme, particularly tackling some of the speed aspects, and because we had a bit of a dip in our sales the previous year, and just sort of getting our heads around the advertising as well. So essentially, that's been that's where we were at, and it's been great to be part of a community and to have that support and not sort of feel like you're doing it all on your own. So the biggest value for us has been that learning how to do the ads and having people to kind of have your back when you're not sure whether you're doing the right thing or not.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad you kind of mentioned that, because as you know, and as we sort of spoke about right in the beginning, it was about that self-empowerment. Your business is certainly at a level where you can have and have had and still do have obviously help with all areas of it, especially the marketing is something that we kind of want to gravitate to outsourcing really quickly and sort of just getting it off our plate when, I've obviously been really impressed with you in terms of taking that control back and getting onto the ads and understanding the ads and making it your business, literally like your business, because that's where we have found so crucial. Like when it comes to driving more sales and growing our businesses, like we as the business owners must have that control. Like no one else can drive that ship for us, and no one will take as much care or responsibility obviously as we do. And so until you have someone internally or you can trust an agency or contractor to do it, we must take charge. So it's been awesome to see the progress. And the best thing obviously about your business, even before coming in, like you were doing well, and obviously you had a lot of great organic growth and traction as well. I think you said you were just spending on Google prior to coming in, was that right? And what's kind of transpired with the Google side and the ad side, like being a business of your level, like what kind of happened there since, I guess, kind of coming in terms of your spends and obviously your returns and your growth that you've seen?
So we were just doing retargeting ads on Facebook prior to the program, and our Google, we've only just increased our Google ads over the last couple of weeks. So we've definitely seen some growth just by investing in Facebook ads. The last few months have been testing a lot, and we're just really starting to see some really good results. And which we can attribute obviously to the ads directly as well. So it's been really great.
Awesome. And I mean, with your experience, as you say, being in business for 10 years or so, like I'm sure you've been part of whether it is programs or agencies or mentorships before. Like before jumping into the Ecom Blueprint, did you have any reservations before jumping in, or was it pretty simple, or where were you sort of at with getting help with the business in this capacity?
So I've always been pretty independent in my working, and I have worked with a number of agencies. But I guess for me, he came highly recommended from my brother, who I trust. I saw the opportunity in the learning. So for me, I know most of my business inside out, but in terms of the ads, well, I had dabbled in ads before, and the understanding of particularly how to read the statistics in Google and Facebook and how to set the ads up properly and then see if they're working or not, has been something that's been sort of missing for me. So whether we were doing them internally or whether, you're outsourcing, if you don't know how to read the numbers correctly, then, it's hard to say what's working and what's not and where to put your extra budget. So that's really been, that was a really big draw card for me, was that that was obviously a huge focus of the program, as well as I like to help other people. So being part of a community where you can actually give back and, be able to basically just share your stories and people can benefit from that is really awesome. So that was probably, and I think even to date is the most valuable part of being part of the Ecom program and the community.
I love that you mentioned that, and we were just obviously talking about the in-person event we had a few weeks ago, and you've been right from the beginning a massive contributor, helping people in the community, and it's been really, really appreciated from obviously myself, the other guys who are coaching, and of course the community as well, because just to see what other people are doing that one or two steps above you, and actually know as much as possible, kind of in an intimate capacity, that you are a real person, that you are a real business. There's no kind of egos within the community, which I really, really, really love. And obviously we, curate that with obviously who we allow into the community and whatnot. But there's a lot of transparency and honesty and respect for where people are at in their journeys. And so that's what a lot of people say actually after the fact of jumping in and sort of being there for a few months. They're like, this community is probably the most valuable thing, even though if that's not what they originally sort of came into, if they haven't had that experience, before. But, you've been absolutely crucial to the community. It's been awesome having you in there and sharing your insights. And obviously, hopefully it's reciprocated too, with being able to talk shop with people and connect and things like that, and just get, useful tips and tricks, which is great. And I mean, from a strategic perspective, what is it'd be great for people to just to kind of hear, to get the initial growth for you, what have been the fundamentals? And then obviously you did mention the ads and understanding the metrics and the data and looking to scale from there. I mean, what has been, would you see looking back, your biggest keys to the growth, even up to when you jumped in the program or before that? What was the biggest thing for you that you knew you had to do or found out eventually in growing your business, do you think?
I think one of the keys is just being honest to yourself, and because there's a lot of noise, and there's a lot of people telling you to do things one way or another, and I think focusing on what's important. It's all good having 10,000 products and only listing 5,000 of them online, or working on perfecting the one product instead of listing five. So and I think in business, in life, there's lots and lots of distractions. So I think I've heard you say this quite a lot of times, but it's my motto too. I'm very much do it now. Just do it is really, and then you can refine things as you go, but just actually getting things done, getting started. And yeah, usually by the time you think you need to do something, you should have done it a week, a month, or a year beforehand. So I think that's is the key to business, probably is the key to life, and it's definitely the key to being successful. So having a go, no matter what happens, you're going to learn along the way. And yeah, I think we were talking earlier about the likes of Google rankings, rather than trying to cheat the system, if you can just be true and authentic and, fill your website with good content that is relevant to your brand, your products, then, eventually Google will rank you, because that's what Google is looking for. And for us, organic ranking was huge from the beginning, but we were always just true to who we are, and rather than copying and pasting or focusing on the opposition, we just focused on doing what we were doing well and not sort of getting caught up in trying to compete. I mean, you've got competition, but you don't necessarily need to compete with them, because you're obviously unique in your own way, and just kind of be true to that, I think.
That is such a cool point. I'm really glad that you did just elaborate on that because, we when Sam and I started our business like literally 11 years ago, we still teach like the same fundamentals about what worked for us, and they still do work. And like you're sort of saying, the fundamentals will always be true. Like influencer marketing, speaking of like Just Do It and Nike, Phil Knight was doing that in like the 60s and 70s, how he rocked up to racetracks, gave a pair to the best performers, and that was his marketing, influencer marketing, basically. And so the forms kind of changed, but I think the fundamentals. So doing things right and laying the foundations, being authentic, as you kind of mentioned, and then using simple strategies and pursuing those routes rather than changing strategies every month or 6 weeks because you don't see a quick result. So that's what we have also, found. And like, we might have spoken about off air before around the customer experience, like just building the best possible product and customer experience, getting that right before almost you do anything else. And then you can pour gas on what that looks like, and that will you grow. So yeah, you're exactly right. Just with those strategies and how you're growing your business. So that's, insane.
And
Um,
sorry, but
mm,
I do think like customer service is also like, because customer service for us has been huge, like right from the beginning and all the way through. It's like
yeah. People
so
remember it, like they
yeah,
love it. Like it's so
yeah.
important.
And if you mess up, how we've probably got some of our best, most loyal customers from sending out the wrong product, but it's all about how you deal with it. So,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of people get scared to get on the phone or to tackle like complicated customers, but generally, like as long as you do it right, they can become like your biggest supporters. And some of our best Google reviews are about I got sent the wrong thing and then they
Mm,
fixed it so quickly and they're amazing and we love them and we want to like shop with them forever. So
yeah.
yeah, and I think it's like really important to not underestimate how important it is just to make it a good experience every time, and even the difficult customers that can yeah, you don't want to turn them into enemy that ends up giving you a nasty Google review, and quite often they actually turn out to be some of the best ones. So I
Yeah.
think it's important.
100%, 100%. And that was, yeah, definitely one of those things at the in-person event. I think it was number 2 or 3. It was like customer centric. And if you ever have problems or challenges, exactly right. Jump on the phone. We are sometimes scared as online business. Honestly, like sometimes we're fearful as online business. I know I went through this. It's like, yeah, but we're online business. We don't have to speak to people. Or sometimes people are like, I don't want to speak to people if I'm an online business. But nothing will replace that literal human touch where possible. But the next best thing is obviously a phone call and having a conversation and just talking about even issues. I remember we had to do that, and it just completely defuses everything. Just having an
Mm,
actual conversation with a human, being genuine, being authentic, and then they leave the phone and they're a raving fan, as you mentioned,
yeah,
is everything. Because then they'll tell the next 5 people how good you are versus the next 10 who how bad you are. Like that, it's your
yeah,
choice as a business owner, and we have to kind of humble ourselves quite a lot sometimes. So
yeah.
yeah, really important point there. That's thanks for bringing that up. I mean, just to kind of to finish off, like you've been experienced with obviously programs and mentorships and agencies and stuff like that. I mean, what would you sort of say to people who are right back at the beginning or even before you invested in yourself and your business and got help from people that are 1, 2, 3 steps ahead? Like, what would you sort of say to those people that are, I guess, overwhelmed or second guessing themselves or lacking confidence? Like, what do you recall that you kind of did, I suppose, in looking back?
In terms of what overcoming
Just in
overwhelmment.
terms of like the next steps, yeah, like so people are overwhelmed, they're not sure where to go. Like, was it something that you specifically looked to or consciously did that was that helped you kind of get through that challenge that you were kind of facing at the time?
um, you're talking early on in business.
Yeah, or any stage, because we always have challenges as they come up, right?
Uh,
Like
there's
even
always
from the data
challenges.
perspective, like you're talking about coming to this program, it's like, okay, I wanted to get reading the data, reading the metrics, get the paid ads going. Was it very intuitive for you to be like, okay, I need to get help from someone just because of your experience in the past? Or was it, yeah, like we said before, were
Well,
there
I guess I think
intentions around it?
that's
Hmm.
well, that particular decision was about taking the reins because I get
Hmm.
handed my reins over to someone else last year and it didn't,
Yeah.
and whilst I worked with them and it was, it's hard to, like I said earlier, like to micromanage almost, or like to work with someone who's working for you when you don't know the job. So, with my employees, I give them a job description, they do the job that they're meant to do. I know how to do the job. When you get an agency where like someone to help you with ads, they don't know your business that as well as you do. They know the ad side of things, but unless you know how to read what they're doing and, to kind of work out whether or not it's actually really working for you. And I think that's where I was stuck. So I did decide that I was going to educate myself. So for me, that's where this program came in. Yeah. I think, we will always learn more things. And sometimes, it's giving something a go and failing 3 times and learning that way. And other times it's, whether it's a course or, however you invest in terms of upskilling. It's a forever learning curve business. And so it's life, I think. So, which makes it fun, right?
It makes it fun and exciting. Absolutely. It's yeah, you get everything along the journeys. And I often say that yeah, especially running your own business, but obviously life in general is you can do anything. Like there's so many routes you can actually go, which is why let's call it the majority of people can't handle that lack of direction in a sense. So
Yeah.
you're exactly right with what you mentioned before in terms of the action take. It's like take the action, figure it out. If that's the right path, you can always come back or divert or lead you down another rabbit hole that'll get you closer to what you were, looking to get to anyway. So it's you're exactly right. That's the exciting part. And yeah, I love that message. So thanks obviously for sharing that. And thanks for sharing your experience. Not just obviously in the program, but of course along the lines of journey. And I know there's so much more good stuff coming for you, and I'm excited to obviously, help you with it as in part of this program as well. So thanks so much for sharing all of that.
Oh, thank you.
No worries.